idea the amount of ignorant mess we're about to get into right now.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
All right, guys, we're back. This is episode 190 for the second and third episode of the anthology Small Axe. The first one up is Lovers Rock, and then the second, film of sorts that we'll talk about is entitled Red, White, and Blue. So we'll start with Lovers Rock first. This one is starring Michael Ward, Amara J. St. Auburn, Keeter Williams Sterling, Shaniqua Akwak, Ellis George, and Francis Lovehall, Daniel Francis Suave, and a bunch of other people, but those are sort of the main players. Look, if you haven't listened to episode 189, that is on the first episode from Small Axe entitled Mangrove. So I would highly recommend that you go check that out as well. Again, this is a review of Lovers Rock and a review of Red, White, and Blue. All right, so you can check these all out on Amazon Prime. I hate that I have to keep saying that, but you don't read the YouTube comments. I do. I get these on my phone. Oh, where the movie at, yo? All right. They talking too much. They ain't even playing the movie. I don't own the rights. So I have to say it for the dummies. All right. So Small Axe, episodes 2 and 3. So Lovers Rock is about, two lovers who meet at a reggae house party in 1980 in West London. For me, this feels like Steve McQueen's sort of love letter to these type of parties and this age, right? In the 1980s. This one is less of a standard narrative story, as it were, and more of a like I said, like a love letter, but almost a love letter to like the beauty of like West Indian black folks. And I kind of love that in sort of reggae culture. And it's overindulgent in places. And I don't mean that negatively. Like I actually enjoy some of those moments. And it's just, I feel like it's Steve McQueen being like, this is the type of shit that I grew up around. And I love it, and I want you guys to see it, and I want you guys to love it too. And like that's what it is with this story weaved in of these two people meeting at this party. I thought it was great. Not the strongest of the things I've seen in Small Axe so far, but I did enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah, this is beautiful, man. It's light on plot, but the story is, girl sneaks out of her home one night, goes to a house party, meets a guy, and that's pretty much it in terms of story.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's so beautifully shot, and it gets the atmosphere of it's very effective in that way. You feel like a fly on the wall in this like party in this culture, right? It feels like you're peering in and you're not really supposed to be there. You're peering in to see what life is like. It's almost just like a day in the life of
right
type of movie. And those can be either really good or really bad, depending on the type of person, right? Like if
I'm normally not a fan of those.
Yeah. Like if you're filming me for an hour and 20 minutes, it's going to be real boring.
Right. It all depends on the topic, right? Or let's say a car wash. I don't find particularly interesting. Like I just didn't find it interesting. I know it's blasphemy, but I just didn't find it interesting. But this one I did.
Yeah, this one I did. And they keep you on your toes a little bit, Right. They got a guy in there who's kind of a bad guy. Not kind of. He's a bad guy, right? He's a bit of a date rapist, and that's bad.
We cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, like seriously, like
Don't do that.
don't date rape.
Yeah.
Don't even rape.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to qualify.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what
Just
kind.
don't rape.
Yeah. 100% of the time.
But yeah, it's one of those things that my wife didn't watch it with me. She says she might watch it later. It's one of those things where I'm going to watch it with my wife because I know it will get her in the mood and she will be DTF. Like, that's it. Yeah.
I was going to say, I was like, I'm shocked that you didn't watch this with your wife. Cause there's a couple scenes, that are like, okay. Like,
so we doing this?
right. Like the movie is just like, whoever you're with, if that's who you're supposed to be with, this is now the time to put the movie on pause and go do your thing. Come back. I sat and watched it, sitting opposite seats with my father-in-law. Really not the not the time. But yeah, no, definitely 100%.
Man.
I am shocked that you didn't watch it with your wife.
This is I'm going to use a term that is generally not used between two heterosexual men, but this movie is very erotic. Like, like it is.
It
right?
is.
It's one of the more it's more erotic than any just straight up sex scene that I've seen.
Yeah, you said it once. That's enough. It's like keep saying moist. Like all right, we get it. Yeah, no, it is. It is. It like there's sort of a feeling of it. Like everything about the movie is like very visceral, right? Like like the color and the way it's shot. Like that's one of the things that really, like we talked about in Mangrove. Like there's that scene where the chick like flips out, like when she's in the dock and she's like, she starts like flipping out and she stands up and yells and like McQueen shoots that scene like as it's kind of moving around her. There's a lot of that. And like you really see his shooting style a lot in this. And he does these like close-ups and very interesting perspectives and things like that, that I thought were just wonderfully done. Like, especially the scene closer to the end of the guys. Like, I don't know what song it is. I have to find it because that song was a banger. But like where the guys are dancing at the end and they're just getting fucking hyped to the point where they're like, play the song again. That scene is shot so fucking dope to me because it's just intense. It is just fucking intense as hell. But yeah, the movie it's just super interesting, man. It's a super interesting, like, I keep using the term love letter because I don't want to use erotic anymore. I don't want to hear that word anymore. But, it just does such a good job to put us on display. And I think to put specifically Jamaican folks and West Indian folks on display in a positive way. Cause there's like, when people talk about like, they're trying to see black pain and stuff like that. This is exactly the opposite of that. This is just us enjoying life. There is literally one scene where sort of our main character walks outside and these like white guys are like, they make some sort of like racial slur or whatever, right? Or they start like making like monkey noises. It's fucking Britain in the 80s, white peopling. And like immediately that scene is followed by this like large bouncer dude standing there like, the fuck are y'all looking at? And they're like, all right, we're good, my bad.
Right.
And like immediately like he intimidates them, which was awesome.
I loved it.
Right. And then the movie just continues, right? Like, yeah, there's like the sort of like attempted date rape scene, but like the movie is not dealing with like, oh, the tragedy of slavery. It's not dealing with any of that. It's just us being human. And it's wonderful to watch. So like if you're one of these people who doesn't like to watch movies about black pain, I get it. This is one to watch. Like it's really just a love letter to us. And that is dope as fuck to me. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, man. Steve McQueen based his screenplay on the experiences of his own Aunt Molly, who as a teenager had a habit of sneaking out of the house at night to attend parties. His aunt was very emotional when she viewed the film. Because it hit her, man. Like it like we said in the last episode, this is, he's writing these stories so that his elders can see themselves,
Right.
and see themselves represented in just a wonderful light.
Yeah. Well, I think he nails it here. So let's dig into it. So what we see early on is these guys just they have a house and they're just moving in like speakers and everything else. These Jamaican dudes in West London, and in the kitchen they've got these women who I guess are their friends or whatever. They're making all the food, right? This food looks amazing, by the way. And much like in Mangrove, like there's these scenes of just like food preparing, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so hungry. I would eat all of that. But and they're just like they're singing this song called "Silly Games," which appears later, which I just added to my Spotify playlist, because of reasons. And they're just kind of getting ready for this party. And I do find the scene of them like moving couches around and them setting up these gigantic speakers, like they show up and bring it out of their van or whatever. Like I just imagine as neighbors, I'd be like, oh, it's about to get loud as fuck over there. Like, yo, they bring out these massive speakers, which is just great. And so they're just preparing for the party, and they're Jamaican, so they're like smoking or whatever, and they're having a good time. And again, it's just scenes of them just getting ready for the party. Like there's no narrative to it. Like they're moving carpets and shit like that. And like, that's it. And it's just, you're just watching it. You're just, like you said earlier, you're just a fly on the wall, right? And like, they're going to charge to get into the party. They're going to charge for food and drinks and stuff like that. So they got it like pretty like set up in this seemingly pretty fucking big house. And there's a lot of that kind of going on. Then eventually we start to see scenes of other characters sort of getting ready for the party that night. And one of the people that is the focus is this woman named Cynthia, who is just turning 17. So this is for her birthday, right? That's what this party seemingly is all about, or at least in large part, that's what it's about. So she's getting ready with her friend Grace, I believe, and they're just kind of getting ready and trying to figure out what they're going to do. And again, like she's 17. So like that gives you an idea of roughly the ages of everybody else that's there, right? Probably 21 at the max, right? Like everybody's roughly in that area of age. Then we see, on the other side, we see, this woman, Martha, she's getting ready. And she meets up with a friend of hers. And so it sort of kind of fast forwards a little bit, to like, it's time to go to the party. And her and her friend meet up. What's her name? Patty. How could I forget Patty's name, of all names? Which is just apparently back in the 80s, dudes also made comments about people being thick in very interesting ways. So Martha and Patty meet up. Martha is the one, I guess, who is based on Steve McQueen's aunt, right? She's the one who sneaks out of the house and like throws her shoes out the window and catches them. And her friend's like, "Oh, did you scuff them?" And she's like, "No, I didn't climb down the drain pipe in them." Like, she was like, "Then how'd you get them out of the house?" She was like, "I just threw them out of the window." She was like, "Why didn't you just hold them?" She's like, "Was I supposed to hold them in my teeth?" Like, what the fuck are you talking about? There was just like such a bizarre little funny conversation they had. So they're just like hanging out in a playground, getting ready for the party, or like, just waiting. And then they realize they're about to miss their bus to go to this party. Again, it's all very innocent. Like they're taking a bus to a party, right? It's not, there's nothing untoward about them, right? Like there's no like, oh, they're in a shady dude's car or anything like that. Like they're just like, they're kids, right? They're just kids.
There's no manufactured bullshit.
Right. That's exactly right. Like, oh, how are they going to get home from the party? They're just taking a bus. That's
right.
it.
Right.
Right. They're just like real innocent kids. And it's kind of dope in that way. They get on the bus and like, there are clearly a bunch of people going to the party. Like these dudes are like having a good time in the back of this bus. Like they are hyped, right? They got like the boom box and shit like that.
So these parties, real quick, are, they're called blues parties. And, blacks weren't allowed to go to traditional clubs in London at that time, right? The 80s.
Right. The 1880s, Micah? No.
And so they would have these parties that, from my research, are quote unquote illegal. I don't know why they were illegal. But yeah, but they were illegal. So they would throw these parties, and they would be like quarter parties. Like my mother used to go to quarter parties. You gave somebody a quarter to get in, and you just have a good time. But yeah, like it just goes to show once again that not even just black people, but people who are oppressed or downtrodden, they will still find a way to have a good time, right? Like they will because you have to, right? Like
you have no choice.
I understand fighting, but you can't fight all the time, Like you got to let off some steam, and even letting off steam is a fight. Right? Like, I can't go to this club.
Right. It's still an issue.
Right. I can't go to this club. Well, fuck you then. I'm going to make my own.
Yeah. And they have a better time. Right?
Yeah.
What, by the way, so when they're on the bus, they see a black man carrying a crucifix, like a full-size crucifix. What do you think that signifies? Any idea? Because he shows up at the end as well.
Yeah, he shows up at the end. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't really pay it too much mind other than, the traditional imagery of, the Stations of the Cross. But, when I think of that, I'm thinking of Jesus getting his ass whooped.
Right. Yeah, I thought like maybe when he shows up at the end, something tragic was going to happen. Right. And I thought that was sort of how they were going to do it. But like nothing does, which I was happy about, by the way. But I just didn't. I wish I could. I wish I knew what McQueen was trying to put across there. I'm sure there is some imagery. It's a little odd that it's there if there isn't a point to it. But I just found it curious. I didn't know if you had a thought on it. So, because she sees the guy with the crucifix, and she's kind of like, she kind of feels bad a little bit. Like she has it could be like her Christian upbringing. This is just like top of mind, like just a thought off top of my head. Her sort of Christian upbringing, and here she is being dishonest and going to do this thing, and maybe that's sort of a reminder of that. I don't know. Like in the end, she doesn't do anything wrong. Actually, she does something pretty heroic during the party.
Yeah, pretty goddamn brave.
Yeah, she does. So yeah, I'm just curious about that. Also, I had forgotten that black women also had the Farrah Fawcett hairdo back in the day, which is just wild.
I don't think it translates as well as it should.
No, but I'm okay with it.
I'm mad at it.
I mean, she's very attractive.
Yes, the 17-year-old is very attractive.
No, not her. She's not 17.
Oh, is she 16?
No, I think she's like 18, right? It's totally fine.
No, you keep
just over the line. Over the line. It only matters if they're over the line. I don't know how old that actress is, and I dare not Google it. I'm just going to assume that she's of age because I find her attractive, and I don't want to realize how much of a fucking weirdo I am. So we do see another guy who they don't mention who he is, stealing money out of a phone booth at one point as she's walking by into the party. He will become more relevant later. I did appreciate that even in at quarter parties in 1980 West London, hot women get in for free, dudes still gotta pay. Shit ain't never changed. That shit was hilarious. He's like, "Oh no, you lovely ladies can come right on in for free." He turns around to those dudes. "Let me see your money. Like, get out of here." It's too many of y'all here anyway. It's not a sausage party. So we get into the party, and it's, again, there are long swaths of this. The movie's only an hour, right? But there's sort of long swaths of just people dancing, having a good time, right? Between listening to reggae music and disco, they're just having a good time, which is dope. Again, it's super dope. I've been to many a house party in my day, We never dressed like this, obviously, but people did have a good time.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing to dress, nicely. It's another to wear a full suit and tie with suspenders. If you come into a house party with a full suit, tie, suspenders, you a problem.
Well, okay, so this is 1980, right? So it's clear that like 1970s fashion has not let go.
Hasn't left yet.
Right, because everybody is super decked out, which I loved. There is a wonderful scene of them dancing to Everybody is Kung Fu Fighting, which is probably the funniest shit of all time. Everybody is just having such a good time. There's not a person in that scene who isn't a complete fucking weeb at the moment, which I loved. It was great. And again, it's just folks having fun. It just is folks having fun. This is the first time we see a character named Bammy, played by Daniel Francis Swaby, who's a real piece of shit. More on him later. Never trust a nigga with 2 gold teeth in a row. Like, nah. So as everybody's like kind of hanging out, these dudes come up to Cynthia and her friend, or excuse me, not Cynthia, Martha and her friend Patty. And the one guy's a real asshole to them. He's like, "Oh, what's your name?" I'm not gonna do a patois or a West Indian accent, but he was like, he's like, "What's your name?" And she's like, "Oh, it's Patty." He was like, "Oh, like beef patty," because she's like, yeah, she's a thicker gal. Whatever, I'm not mad at her. That show was funny, and she was like, "Ha ha, nigga, like get the fuck out of here." And he was just like a real, like, very rude. And Martha just like, she cuts his ass up too. Like, she was like, get the fuck out of here, basically. And his buddy comes in, and I don't know if this was a play or not, but his buddy comes in, he's like, "Oh, look, sorry about my friend. Yeah. He doesn't mean you any harm. He's kind of an asshole or whatever."
I mean, you got to be a true blue friend. Like, I know people do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, guys do that. Like, they jump on a grenade or whatever and play like a good cop, bad cop sort of thing. Like, I'm a real asshole, and then here comes this guy. But like, why do women fall for that? Because like,
I don't know.
You kind of, birds of a feather kind of hang out with one another.
Right. I'd be like, you seem like an asshole, and your friend is probably an asshole. So no. Yeah. So yeah, it's weird because, the guy who's like the good guy, is named Franklin, and the shitty guy's name is Reggie. So Franklin comes in, he's like, sorry about my buddy. He's a real piece of shit. But I'm not. So you can trust me. And so he immediately starts hitting on Martha, and Martha's like, "Oh, you're not a piece of garbage. Oh, I like you." And so they go and hang out with Reggie and Franklin for a bit. And Franklin's got the same part I had back in the 1980s when I was a little kid, but that nigga's like 18. So yeah, they start hanging and talking about like where they're from and all this other shit. And Martha likes Franklin a lot. Patty does not fuck with Reggie at all. Like, she don't fuck with that dude. No. And so Franklin and Martha kind of go off on their own, and they go dancing or whatever, and have a good time. Then at one point, and they're like, again, we haven't gotten to the more like very grindy scenes, but I was like, oh, this movie is like, I was like, oh, they doing it like house parties in Baltimore back in the day. I get it. I understand the connection now. So Martha goes to the bathroom, and she's like, look, I'll be right back or whatever, leaving Franklin there. Meanwhile, this young chick, Cynthia, whose birthday it is all over Franklin, like the second that Martha leaves, because she doesn't like Martha for whatever reason. Like, I guess they know each other, but like, she don't fuck with her. And Franklin's like, my friend, I need to go find my friend. I gotta go. Which, if you're a woman and a guy says that to you, he ain't interested in you at all.
Yeah, that's That's a pretty big matzo ball you got hanging
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. He was just like, I gotta go. So then there's like a lot of close up scenes of like dudes like pulling women to them to dance or whatever. And Cynthia gets upset, and like at one point Patty gets upset because Martha hasn't come back and she's got to hang out with Reggie's trifling ass, so she just bounces from the fucking party.
It's fucked up, yo.
Yeah, don't leave your girl. That's fucked
Don't leave
up.
your girl there, yo. Especially like, I hate to sound sexist, but especially for women, yo.
Nah, you don't leave your girl alone.
You don't leave your girl at some fucking house party to fend for themselves, man. Like, I'm not saying women can't take care of themselves. I'm saying like,
Dudes are shit.
yeah, dudes are fucking bastards, yo. They real bastards.
Yeah. Look, I mean, even the most well-intentioned dude, our entire job, if they're trying to pick you up, is to separate you from the herd. Okay? Like, that's a fact. This is a fact.
Right.
Oh, these your friends? No, come on over here. Like,
Right,
yeah, of
exactly.
course. I don't need all that chatter, chit chat. Get out of here.
Right.
No, I'm trying to separate you so I can take advantage of your goodwill. And so,
Of your good nature.
yeah, exactly. And if you don't mind, so while Martha is in line for the bathroom, here comes a nigga who looks just like my dad in the 70s, like a real piece of shit.
His name is Bammy.
Bammy, yes. Here he comes again. But my dad didn't have two gold teeth, in fairness to him. But this dude, he walks up on Martha. Look, any guy who just walks up to a woman, grabs her hand, and kisses it, untrustworthy, yo. From
Yeah,
Jump
yo.
Street, yo. Untrustworthy. Like,
Get the fuck out of here, yo. Just, like dudes don't do that, yo. Fucking
Yeah.
people who try to people who want to
Rape you.
be inside you by any means necessary do that.
you're right. Like, nah. Let me kiss your hand. Nigga, don't touch me.
Right. This ain't fucking 1700 Victorian London. Like,
Right.
Get out of here, yo.
Hello. Like, no. Like, let me tip my cap to you. Like, get the fuck away from me. So this dude comes up to her and he's like, long time me learn how to treat girl. Like, wow. I guess. I guess. Yeah, me reading someone speaking patois is ridiculous. So
You can't. It don't work in your accent.
it doesn't. I recognize that. Pull it a mercy. I know one person who's going to be very upset with me after this episode, but that's all right. This is her whole family. This is what they are all like. Tiara. And damn, we should have had her in here. She could have done the accent for us. But this guy, he goes on, he's like, yeah, I'm a tailor. I've got an eye for fashion. But he's like, what did he say? It was a really weird fucking line. Even like, he's like, I have an eye for fashion, like for male fashion or something shit like that. But I'm interested in women. I was like, okay. Like, yeah, like,
Me as a tailor, I have an eye for fashion, more time man, but I interested in woman.
like,
I guess that means that he tailors men,
right.
but he's interested. But I ain't gay though.
Right, like,
I'm
yeah.
interested in women. Though.
He gave the Jamaican version a pause. Like, that's what it was, right? Like, all right, relax, Bammy, we get it. You like women, like a lot, whether they like you or not. Like, relax. So she's like, yeah, I'm going to the bathroom. Like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, no, that's cool. Yeah, I'm coming in too. She was like, nigga, get the fuck out of here. And then the dude standing outside the bathroom are like laughing at him because she pushed him away. And he's like, he had the classic dude response, like, you trying to fight, nigga? Like, don't, trying to take the heat off himself for looking foolish. So while she's going to the bathroom, Martha sees Patty leaving the party. So she hurries up and tries to go find her friend. That's when she walks outside and like these like white dudes are like, hey, like, making monkey noises or whatever. And she was like, naff off wankers, which I assume means like fuck off. And that's immediately when that big swole nigga who was watching the door just showed up. He looks like Michael Jai White.
He's watching the door And like, this is how badass this dude is. He's watching the door and sees her and just comes over to help her. And this motherfucker, first of all, the way this is shot, right, is shot incredibly dark, right?
Yeah.
And
like you really think some shit's about to go down.
Right. And I really want Steve McQueen to do a horror movie. And
yeah, this scene very much feels that way. Yeah, it does.
It pans, it's panning, and you see Martha walk into darkness, and then she strips, she stops abruptly and then the camera pans up, and you see this big ass Jamaican dude, and he's just looking at him, and I forget if he says something, but
no, I don't think he does actually. He don't need to.
You don't need to. And those four white dudes, those four dudes were like, you know what? Let's fuck off.
Yeah. I don't need that smoke. Like, no.
I'm like, yo, I loved it. I loved it.
It was great. And yeah, you're right. He didn't have to say a goddamn thing. Yeah, his size said everything you needed to know. He beat the brakes off all four of them. Pick up the smallest one and use him as a bat against the other three. But it was dope. Like, it's just that idea of us protecting our own, right? Like that, and like keeping everything cool. Everything is copacetic. Like, don't even worry about it. You go back to the party. We got this. Like, I love that shit. Like, that was dope. So Martha goes back to the party without Patty. And again, it's just kind of like shit's just going on, right? Like, she eventually runs into Franklin again. He's like, damn, like, you just gonna like diss me or some shit? And she's like, nah, like, it's cool. I'm just like trying to find my friend. And so they kind of reconnect, right? Then we just get a lot more time of them dancing, and this is where it's like the E word is getting cranked up to 100.
Yes, it's this scene is very sensual.
Ugh, again, stop it.
This is the silly game scene.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is the silly game scene, and this is like, for lack of a better term, the money shot of this movie, right? Like,
yes.
It's the big like act 2 thing, right?
Right.
When the party's electricity cuts out during the middle of Janet Kay's 1979 hit song Silly Games, the party members go on singing it a cappella.
Yeah.
And where is it? It wasn't scripted to last as long as it did.
Yeah, because they do 3 refrains.
They do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a 10-minute scene.
I mean, it gets a little overindulgent at a point. I'm like, okay.
But the cast, like the cast was all improv because the cast was into it. Yeah. Like they were in it. They were feeling the moment. Like they were jiving. They were at that party then.
Right.
And Steve McQueen was just like, yo,
keep rolling.
Keep rolling.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Hurry up, get the power back on, but like, it's cool. Like, whatever. Yeah, and so that last 10 minutes, which is just really interesting, right? And it's like that song is very central. Like, it is. It's the same song that they're singing in the beginning where they're like cooking, and there's some, there's sexuality around cooking, and sort of the love through food to people you care about. And then you get from that to this scene where like people are fucking grinding on each other. It's shot beautifully, like the lighting and everything, because Steve McQueen is black. I assume the cinematographer is also black, so they know how to shoot dark-skinned black people, which is incredibly important. They're not just washed out or you can't see anybody. The lighting is really good, so everyone looks very intense, right? Like I don't know, like the visual aspect of those scenes is really powerful, and that happens again later. And so in that moment, like, people are grabbing ass, like it's like people are fucking like,
they're dry humping.
Right. No, but I'm saying like the second cut happens, like if this was the real world, people are leaving the party in that moment to bang. Like, we gotta go.
This is where if I was watching this with my wife,
right,
we would hit pause.
Right. I'm just gonna unzip my pants if we just get out of here.
Let's just do this.
Right. Is the kid sleeping? Cool. He'll be fine. So yeah, like it's a very central part of it. And it's a dope scene. Then Cynthia, who is a 17-year-old, played by Ellis George, by the way, is she decides to, like, Bammy comes up to her. Like, she doesn't know Bammy's a piece of shit, right? She's just like, oh, this light-skinned nigga with 4 gold teeth in a row is interested in me. He seems cool. His hat's cocked to the side. And so she's, like, all about this guy, right? And he's like, yeah, no, word, definitely. And so they go outside after the song, and he takes her, like, there's, like, sort of a backyard where people are hanging out on couches and shit. And he takes her down into this, like, one, like, back in the backyard kind of area, right? And the last thing you see from them is her saying, where are you taking me? And, like, that's the last thing you see from them for now. Then it cuts back to inside the house, and, again, everybody is kind of slow dancing, and, like, Martha and Franklin are, like, right up on each other, and like, yeah, again, this is the part where, you know, shit's popping off. Then we get a scene. Franklin and Martha are, like, having a good time. They go to get a drink. Then a guy comes in who tries to come in. His name is Clifton, played by Kadar Williams Sterling. And he tries to get into the party. And the bouncer's like, nah, fuck that. Get out of here. Like, nah, you seem like you don't seem right for this party, basically. Yeah. And so the cops start pulling up, and the bouncer grabs him and brings him into the party, right? Because, again, even though I don't fuck with you, I fuck with you more than I don't fuck with cops. So, like, I'm not going to let your bullshit ruin our good time. You're still a part of the community. And he grabs him, he brings him in the house, he closes the door so the cops, like, keep driving by. And he says to him, and I don't know what this term means, but I could guess. Basically, he was like, I don't want to see any chupidness, which I assume is like stupid bullshit, right? Like, from you or you're gone. And so he's like, all right, fuck you. And like Frank, or this guy, Clifton, is like a real asshole. And you come to find out that Clifton is actually Martha's cousin. And he starts going off about, like, all this shit, like, you know, my mom died, like, you ain't give a fuck, you ain't come see us, and none of that shit. And, like, he just starts acting like a real asshole. And, like, kind of, in a weird way, kind of ruins the moment for Martha. And Franklin kind of steps in a little bit, but, like, Clifton is just, like, not backing down. So he's just like, fuck both of y'all. And then he just goes in to dance. And while he's going in to dance, we get this next thing.
He basically we need a reason for Martha to go outside.
Right. And that's what
and that's what this was, because it doesn't really there's no, like, payoff or anything like that. Like it's just a bit of backstory to kind of flesh out this world a little bit, but we also need a reason for Martha to be disgusted and to want to go outside.
Yeah, and Clifton, there's a couple other scenes with Clifton that I'd like to talk about that are really, again, like, very community based, which I find to be fascinating and a really interesting aspect they show. So from there, Martha walks outside. She's kind of, like you said, she's disgusted by the whole thing with Clifton. She walks outside, starts smoking a cigarette, and she hears, like, a woman being like, let go of me, get off me, and all this other stuff. And so she walks over to find out what's going on. And she sees Bammy on top of Cynthia trying to rape her, right? Or in process of raping her. She then takes her lit cigarette and throws it on that nigga, which is awesome. That's what you should have done. Again, I don't understand, like, yo, you were just listening to that song, Silly Games. Like, you can't close the deal voluntarily?
Yeah, yo. And even if you can't,
just relax, nigga. God damn.
Yeah, like if you can't, you can't, yo.
It is. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal.
God damn.
Go home and jerk off. And like he literally says to her, "I'll christen you," because I guess she's a virgin.
He was like, you ready to get the length and the strength again?
Relax. I need you. I need you to relax.
Again, that sounds like, you know what?
If you have to declare it, then maybe.
And then he says, something like, you've never been christened before? Like, first of all, gross. Second of all, fucking a virgin is the worst. The worst.
No.
I'm a pro.
No, like I live. This is going to be a weird thing to say, so let me couch it in a little bit more nuance. I live not wanting to have sex with a virgin. Yes, I agree with you. Awful. But I live more by the Jay-Z rule is I want my wife to fuck me like a prostitute. Right? Like, yeah. Like, come on, man. You want somebody who knows what they're doing and not charge me.
You want a pro, yo.
Yeah,
you want a pro.
Oh, I don't know what to do. Why don't you try to stick, why don't you try to stick your penis in a hole the size of a pin? Like, no, this is awful. Ow, 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 ow. Wow, yeah, this is really turning me on. Great, thanks. I'm so glad we're here. Ugh, get out of here. Is this how I do it? No, it's not. Why are you using teeth? So yeah, she flicks her cigarette. Martha flicks her cigarette right on this dude's back. Of course, he gets up because nobody wants to have a cigarette thrown on them. And he immediately like grabs Martha by the neck. Again, like,
as like, you want to get boxed up? Yo, what the fuck?
Yeah. She, like, look, to Martha's credit, she grabbed a broken piece of glass and was like, do something, nigga. Like, she had that shit on his neck. That was awesome, right? Yeah, he tried to push Cynthia back behind the, like, divider. Like, no, I ain't finished. I'm like, all right, nigga, you've moved from, like, date rape to, like, felony, like, whatever, like, major felony assault. Like, what the fuck? You hitting and rape? Like, come on, dog. Go to jail forever.
And I was upset because, aside from the obvious, but
right.
This movie was doing a real good job of not having that shit. And I'm not saying shit like this doesn't happen.
Right.
Of course
I think
it does.
Right. And I think that's why it's there.
And that's why it's here. But I didn't want this whole thing. I was enjoying this and this is killing my vibe.
Right. Because at this point, you're trying to put your pants back on so you can hit play on the movie, right? Yeah. No, it jolts you out of.
That's it.
It jolts you back into reality.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I'm not mad that it's in here, because people need to be aware of it. It's another reason why you don't leave your friends, man.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You don't. But yeah, man. And she cut his ass. She was like, get behind me, sis. And then she was just like, and he said one more threat. And she was just like, fuck you, nigga.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit couldn't have felt good. Nah, fuck that. And just as he was like ready to like really fucking throw down with her, Franklin showed up. Because Bambi was like, because she cut him and then she walked away. And he was about to run up on her, and I kind of love that scene. Franklin was like, "Or what? Like, what you gonna do?" And he was right in his grill too. I thought that was awesome. I was like, "Okay, all right, Franklin, you're not just a piece of shit." You got to be a stone cold nigga to run up on somebody and then smoke a cigarette in their face. It's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? That shit was dope. And so Bambi, of course, just walks off, doesn't leave the party, just walks off.
It's kind of weird, yo.
Like, this what we doing? Like, this nigga attempted date rape, and he was like, "No, I'm just go back to the party though." Nigga, what? No, you gotta go. Like, it's a wrap for you. But he took his jacket and his hat off, so they didn't know who he was, I guess. He's a mystery man.
Right. Yeah, he just had that big ass red shirt on. All right.
Right.
And suspenders. The only motherfucker walking around with suspenders. Yo. Told that doorman, like, you need to watch his ass.
I'd be like, let's beat him up. Fuck that. Let's beat this nigga. So then we cut to a scene of CT acting like every party every club I have ever been to, I have met a person, or I've seen a person like CT/Clifton, which is a dude who is edging for a fight. He is edging for a fight. That is why he dances in the middle of the dance floor as wild as humanly possible, because he wants somebody to bump into him so that he can fight. Right? Like, everybody in the party knows that. Everyone, like, you can see it on their faces. And they're like, oh, here come this nigga. Like you can see it, right? They, like, even the DJ stop and they're like pointing at this, like, look at this nigga. Like, look at this nigga. He about to fight somebody. And the second he stops dancing, he looks right at this dude and walks right over to him. And again, the community is fucking awesome. They immediately were like, hey man, like, you want a joint? Like, immediately, like, calm your ass down. And they, instead of ostracizing Clifton, instead of fighting with him, they immediately are like, it's cool, bro. And then they just fucking bring him in. And it's dope to watch, where he would have wrecked the whole fucking party. They don't allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. And it happens multiple times, like, cause he doesn't calm down at first. Like, he smokes a little bit and he's down a little bit, but then he starts amping up again and they're like, no, it's cool. Hang with us. Like, the DJ and like the other guys behind the like in the DJ booth are like, no, hang with us. It's cool. Like, they trying to bring him in to just like, everybody cool, everybody having a good time. Like, that's like, to me, that's like those moments of like house party when everybody's just having a good time and dancing, right? Like, besides the bullies and shit like that, everybody is just having a good time and they're just trying to protect the party and they're trying to protect the community that's in the party, which is dope, right? It's a fucking cool.
Also,
cool
I can't speak to this, but I would assume that marijuana is made from magic, because it just like everybody's just like this dude goes from 60 to 0. in like 5 seconds.
It hits you, well, maybe not that fast, but it hits you pretty fucking hard, depending on how much you're smoking. And, look, these Jamaicans, so, that shit ain't no bullshit.
Right. This would kill me.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't. No, don't do that. But yeah, they do this really cool thing, I thought, to sort of bring him in, which was dope. And so then there's just this scene, right? There's just more dancing or whatever. And then there's just this scene where these guys are I don't know what the song is. I gotta find. I'll have to go back and find out the song. And it's just like Silly Games, that scene of like all the women dancing and everybody kind of grinding, and it was like really sensual and erotic. This scene is just black men like getting out the bullshit, like just like fucking hyped, getting out the bullshit. And there's a couple of black women in the scene too dancing, but it's mostly black men just like releasing like this level of energy, and they are fucking having such a good time. Like, it's dope. It's the, like, I don't know, it's like the Get Out My Way by Ludacris song of 1980s reggae, right? Like, everybody is they're just hyped to the point where they make the DJ run it back 2 more fucking times, because they are just having that good of a time. And again, this is a scene I was talking about earlier. Like, there's like one dude, there's always one dude who's like, I gotta rip my shirt off. Like, it's way too hot in here. Like, nigga, you have a wife beater on. Like, relax. But there's always one dude at a party. He's like, yo, I gotta rip this shirt off, and throw it around my head like a helicopter. And like, it's just visceral. Like, it's just visceral, and it is just dope. Bammy is still there having a good time. I'm like, this nigga's a date rapist. Somebody fight this dude. But it's just them like living the most out of that song, and it's dope. And, it's just like when you are isolated, when you are marginalized people, like you said earlier, you are going to find your outlet. You have to. And that's what they're doing, right? Anybody coming in who's not familiar with that sort of reggae culture or black culture, like at clubs and shit like that would be like, oh, these animals are crazy. It's just them. It's their version of slam dancing, right? Like it's not different. Like humans are arguably not that different, right? Across races. And this is just them getting that shit out, right? Yeah. Long work week, whatever, like shitty job, dealing with white people's bullshit in London, like all of that comes out in that song, which is
this is the black for white people. This is like the black version of like a System of a Down concert,
right? I mean? This is Rage Against the Machine playing "Killing in the Name of," and you just going fucking nuts. And being conservative and not really realizing what that song was about. Yeah, I like this song. Like, aren't you Paul Ryan?
We're gonna rage against the machine.
You are the
machine.
You are the fucking machine. What are you talking about? Tom Morello hates you. So yeah, that's that song is dope. That scene is like super super good. I just assume this is what one of our listeners, Jaffa. I assume this is him in the 1980s. He said he used to go to these blues parties too. Of course you did. Of course you did. You were the guy holding the light bulb, right? Like
yeah, he was a DJ.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody hype.
Hell yeah. So then we see a scene like again, it's kind of jarring, right? Like you go from this scene of these dudes like they are having a fucking blast and they're just like going crazy. There's dreads fucking everywhere. Like it's shit is just nuts. To an early morning scene after the party of Franklin with Martha, and she's on the front of his bike. And they're smoking a joint. And they're passing back and forth, having a good time. And he's just riding her, driving her home. Or they're actually driving to his job. And it's dope. It's really adorable. It's an adorable scene. It just is. It's just an adorable scene. They go to his job. He's trying to brag a little bit. I got a real job. No big deal. And he's a mechanic, right? So he takes her into his garage that he works in, and he like plays some music for her or whatever. And he feels like a big man, right? Like, and that's dope. There's nothing wrong with that. And they start kissing or whatever, and then his boss comes in, a white guy. He comes in and he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Good day, governor," or whatever the fuck bullshit. And so he talks to Franklin on the side, and he's like a really friendly guy. And then when he talks to Franklin directly, he's like, "Look, man, don't bring your fucking girl in here. Like that shit's not fucking cool. Like this ain't a place to fuck your girl. Like," and I'm not pretty sure that's not what was gonna happen, but like I get his boss's point. I didn't appreciate his boss's tone.
English Seth Green doesn't have to be like good boy at the end of it. Like, all right.
Yeah, I ain't fuck with that. I'm like, all right. Like, I get it, man. You don't want nobody fucking on the Buicks. I get it.
Yeah,
like,
you don't want your cars to be smelling like Badussy.
Right.
I understand, right. But at the same time, but look, he did do him the courtesy of pulling him aside, right?
Yeah, not making him look like
right. If he was an older guy, he'd have been. You're fired.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah, and that would have been like the shittiest ending to this.
Yeah.
God damn. But the dude was like, "Look, man, just like don't bring your Doris around here." And so like he felt a little, emasculated, right? In that moment. But she goes outside while they're having that conversation. So she didn't actually hear it, which is good. But he felt a little emasculated. But then when he comes out to see her, like she's like, "Oh, is everything cool? All right." Like, so she doesn't give him any indication of like what he might have felt. Yeah. So she kind of pulls him back out of it, which is dope, right? Like this is your woman, like, or the woman you're with right now. It's kind of cool to have that moment, right? And so he kind of pulls himself out of that bullshit and he's back into sort of the normalcy of it all. They make out a little bit more, and she says, like, "Look, I want to call you." And he's like, "Look, I don't have a phone." because broke the fuck. And she's like, cool. At 5 o'clock, I'm going to call that phone booth right there. She goes and gets the number. I'm going to call that phone booth. So you be there at 5 o'clock today and I'll talk to you. And so then they make out some more and she was like, no fucking bullshit games or no silly games, if you will. And they clearly really like each other. And so then she gets on the bus and he goes about his day. And then she goes home, sneaks back in the house, leaves her clothes on from the club, gets under the covers, and 5 minutes later, or less than 5 minutes later, you hear bang on the door and her mom saying, come on, time to get up for church. And she smiles and she laughs, and that's the end of it.
It's a very sweet movie. I like to think that, these two got married, love their lives, a little bit of strife here and there, but they generally love each other. And then they have kids and grandkids or whatever. And then the kids are like, hey, how'd you guys meet? And then they retell this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a very sweet movie.
Yeah.
A lot of joyfulness, a lot of just black positivity in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's something that we need more of.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And then I was grinding on your grandfather in this dirty ass house. Shit was lit.
Then I saved a woman.
Yeah. Then that nigga Bammy, who still live up the street, he was trying to rape her. Like, God damn, he's still there. So yeah, that was dope. I really dug Lovers Rock. I thought it was great. So yeah, definitely check that one out. When you get a chance. All right. Hard stop. Boom. Here's a hard stop. Next one up is, Red, White, and Blue. This one is, starring, John Boyega. Let me give the other names here. John Boyega, Steve Toussaint, Joy Richardson, Neil Maskell, Stephen Boxer, and we'll leave it at that. This one is about a man named Leroy Logan, an officer in the London Metropolitan Police, who founded the Black Police Association and attempted to reform the police force from within. So this is based on a true story, which is wow.
Which is of course.
Of course it is.
Which is of course.
Yeah. What did you think of this one?
I really, it's an excellent movie. It's also something that, hits close to home from an American standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I found it very interesting to see what it's like from a person who is genuinely wants to be a good cop. Mm-hmm. And to see how the machine chews you up and tries to spit you out. And in one case, it does spit one of the cops out. Like, he's just like,
fuck this.
Good luck with all that.
Yeah, basically.
But it's a perspective that you don't see often.
I think it's one that we need more of. I think it's one we need more of.
Absolutely. Like, there are people who just are like, fuck all cops. And I've never been that type of person. I do believe that the majority of people who become cops, they do have good intentions. They just get lost in it. But the people who have good intentions, like 80% of them just get lost in the machine. The brotherhood takes them, or they get chewed up and spat out, or like there's a very few percentage of just like true blue, like cops who are just 100% completely selfless. like superhero cops, like Captain America style selfless, right? Like,
Yeah, I think your point about the machine is the right one, right? Like, even if you are a well-intentioned person, you can be destroyed by that system. And it's easy to be destroyed by the system for the exact reasons that they show in this movie. Like,
yeah,
like you literally put your life in your hands by challenging it, and not from criminals, from other cops. Which is why people don't. That's exactly the reason why they don't. So yeah, this one is really interesting. I think this is my favorite so far. And I really enjoyed Mangrove, but this one I think it has even more to say, which I thought for an hour-long movie, this one was pretty profound. And in some ways, a deeper messaging story than even Mangrove was, which was twice as long.
Yeah, I was so engrossed in this that when it ended, I was just like, oh
yeah, no, that's what happened to me too.
Like, I had to go back to make sure that like something went wrong with my prime or whatever, right? Like, because it ends not where you think it, not where a traditional film would end, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I could see an argument being made that, well, this feels like half a movie, but
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because you know, what's the thing that we do when we are interested in movies, right? Especially movies that feel like they're real or based on true events. We go and we research it.
Right.
And we go and we see what happened. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I think good art should do. Right. Like, we shouldn't necessarily take what we see in a movie as gospel, but this was,
yeah, I've seen The Hurricane. I don't, thank you.
Yeah. But I've seen, but you know, if a movie can get the spark going,
right,
to make you want to dig in more, to dig in deeper. That's what good art should do, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I just thought this was really good. I agree with you. I think the dynamic of the guy who's like, I'm trying to be a good cop, like, that doesn't get shown enough. And if it does, it's like RoboCop, where it's like, I'm trying to be a good cop, and like, criminals are so evil, and it's like, and then you still become a really good cop. Like, no, the machine is the problem with police.
Yeah,
it is the number one problem.
And I think it's the fact that he's black, right? Like,
yes, of course.
There are plenty of cop tales where it's, I'm just trying to be a good cop, but it's the white guy, right? It's the white cop, the white hero, who is facing off against a couple of bad eggs, right? Like a couple of bad apples, right? Like, like that's the term that they always use, right?
Yeah,
like
Copland.
A couple of bad apples.
Yeah,
right?
Copland, fucking,
and
yeah, a ton. There's a ton of movies like that.
Right, and the fact that one, this is from a black person's perspective, is something that is sorely missed. And two, the fact that it's not afraid to tell it like it is, right? Like, if this was an American movie, it would be that white cop hero story of, you know, of Captain America taking on a couple of bad apples, but they would just replace it with a black guy and it'd be the same story.
Right.
It's not the same story.
No, it is not.
It just isn't.
Holy shit. No, the perspective is like, there's a number of sort of elements of this movie that I found to be fascinating. Like, when he goes through the training, it feels very much like the spook who sat by the door. Like, it does, right? It's like, you can't just be good. You gotta be the best of the best, in your class, right? There is the aspect, like, again, that's why I'm saying, like, for me, and this is nothing against Mangrove, because I thought Mangrove was great. This has so much more layers than that movie does and again, that's twice as long. This has the cop aspect, the, good cop trying to do the right thing aspect. It's got the black cop trying to be the good cop, through that, right? Trying to change the racial views. Black cop dealing with the black community before and after being a cop. Big fucking deal. That's a big conversation to have. Father and son.
Yeah.
Education, expectations, right? Like that line that his dad delivers at the end. I'm like, Jesus Christ. That's such a good fucking point. It's such a good line. It's so well written. So there's all of these aspects, and they even make a point to show you it ain't just black. They make a point to make, it's everyone who isn't white deals with this. Everyone who isn't white. He's got a buddy who is fucking Indian who's speaking Urdu, and he's like, yo, I'm dealing with the same shit. I'm dealing with the same exact shit. That movie could have easily taken him and put him in that role. Easily enough. Because the point is, it's not just black, it's bigotry. It's specifically just bigotry across the board that these guys deal with. But it connects with us specifically because it's bigotry we know, right? It's we know that. They're black bigotry. Got it. We know that. But yeah, you could have put that fucking Indian dude in there and been the same story, right? Because it's not different. So there's all these aspects of what it takes to be a cop and the shit that you have to deal with. I personally live very much by the ACAB standard, which is all cops are bastards, right? To some varying degree. Even RoboCop. But I don't I don't like cops. I don't have to pretend. I just don't, right? My experiences have been all negative for the most part. But that being said, I have sympathy for John Boyega's character because the way he is presented, he is not presented as a single layer character. He is multi-layered person, who is really not just, I'm a black cop. There's way more going on with this guy. And that's what makes the story super fascinating. It does. And it makes for a damn good story. It really does.
Yeah, I this is going to be unpopular. Feel free to call me a coconut or whatever, but I do not believe that all cops are bastards.
That's fine, Mr. Coconut. Go ahead.
I believe that there is a large majority that are, though. No one gets into this type of public service being truly altruistic. They don't.
No, I mean, he doesn't even. He doesn't even. His family's you just kind of want to be seen because, you want your heroics to be seen.
You want the action, right?
Yeah, you want to be where the action is, right?
Right. You want to. Yeah. You have a hero complex, and you need something to satiate that. So while I do believe that there are a few John Boyegas out there, I don't believe that any one of them is doing this purely for the love of the game or whatever, right? But they're not superheroes. Right?
That's funny. It's funny that you chose that phrasing because I've been meaning to send you something that uses that exact phrasing,
okay.
A comedy bit. But yeah, it's no, I don't believe that either. I don't think anybody gets into it I just want to save the community.
Right, but a lot of people get into it. Let's be frank here, a lot of people get into it because their father was a cop, their father's father was a cop, right? It's tradition.
I'm Irish. I don't have any other options.
Or you don't know a trade, and look, I'm not shitting on cops, right? Cops
feels like you're shitting on cops. I'm okay with it. But it feels
look, the cops got a really hard job, man.
Yeah, they do.
A really hard job. It's so hard. That's why I don't do it, right?
Yeah.
Because I ain't built for it.
I mean, I'm sure there'd be people in our mention saying, nigga, you couldn't be a cop. You're right.
You're right. I couldn't be. And what I'm saying is a lot of the cops who are cops, a lot of them ain't built for it.
No, that's true. 100%.
They like me.
They like me.
For it. They ain't built for it, but they think they're built for it.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking problem.
Yep.
That is the
Absolutely.
problem, yo. So
I could not agree more. I could not
I'm
agree
not
more.
one of those people. I'm not one of those people. I'm very fortunate. Outside of traffic stops, I don't have, I've never been like accosted, right?
No, I have.
But I've seen some weird shit. I remember distinctly, I was in a car with my dad driving down Winans Road near Deer Park, right?
For those who don't know, that's a very nice neighborhood.
Right. And
So that means y'all ain't supposed to be there.
me and my dad we were in church clothes, and he got pulled over one Sunday morning, and I see the cop who honestly, looked like the stereotypical like T-1000 with blonde hair type cop, right? And he leaned over and he had his hand on his gun. And my dad was like, yeah, you ain't got to do all that. You ain't got to put your hand on your gun and shit like that. And that was the first instance I'm like, oh, this don't feel right.
Yeah.
And I try to give him a benefit of the doubt, but as I get older and as I see more, I can't, man. I've been fortunate enough that I don't have to, that I've been fortunate enough that I didn't have to see a lot of that because it wasn't around me. But at the same time, it didn't prepare me for seeing the shit that I have seen in my life now. You know what I mean?
Well, I do know what you mean. What's interesting is, like, when I was watching this, I was imagining a lot of the conversations probably speaking to you between him and his dad a lot. Like, just in conversations you and I've had about, like, where you and your dad are in your relationship, right? Like, as you guys have gotten older. And I just felt like some of those conversations, I was like, I could see, I mean, obviously you're not a cop. But like, there was like just the generality of some of those conversations. I was like when you were talking about sort of your connection with your dad over, like, told you white people are wildin', and you guys are both like finally connect on that. Like, at the end of that movie, they kind of like, they crazy, right? Like,
yeah, that's it. Me and my father had that exact same conversation about just I forget what was going on, but it was something ridiculous, and it wasn't that far. And my father has never been the type that is like bitter towards white people, but he has never, ever, ever trusted them. Never. And my father, he is one of those
understandable
dudes,
reasons.
right? And my dad is one of those dudes that he will come to your aid to a fault, right? Like, he's one of them dudes that's like, I'll just leave a couple bucks in my dresser drawer in case somebody needs something, some extra change to get a snack out of the vending machine, right? Like, he's the type of dude that if he saw someone get accosted by a sales clerk, he saw an older woman get accosted by a sales clerk in like a Radio Shack or some shit. And he spoke up, right? He stepped up and said, hey, there's no need to talk to this woman like that. Yeah. She's a customer. Like, it's your job to service her. And the bitch behind the counter got up in my dad's face and she started fucking pushing him and shit. So he pushed back and whatever, right? But like, he's not the type of person that will let some bullshit just like slide without saying something.
Right. And
I can see myself. And when we had that conversation, it was like, he was like, I didn't want to tell you or teach or, tell you about my opinions of white people while you were younger, because I needed you to grow up. And I didn't want to put preconceived notions of what people do in your head. You needed to see that as you grow up. And he said it didn't take me as long as it took you, but yeah, this is life.
Yeah, you see.
And I'm 39 when that shit happens. 39 and 40 when that shit happens. And it's just like, yeah, I get it. It took me a while, but I get it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my son, right? Because I don't want him to hate. I don't want him to have preconceived notions, right? I don't want him to, if he has one bad experience with a white person at a young age, just be like, fuck all white people. I think that's dumb. I think that's the stupidest shit in the world.
Well, it's because, and you also have never been anywhere at that point. So you're just like, yo, you're just cutting off a huge swath of the world. Like that's unnecessary. I think your dad's perspective is probably the right one, right? Which is, you try to protect your kids, but you try to let them live their life, because those, like, your dad telling you something, he might as well just be giving you a card to do the exact opposite, right? Like at that age,
right? If
white people are a problem. Well, I guess I gotta go marry me a white woman. like you know what I mean? Like
that's it.
Right? Like you just like, you ain't gonna tell me. Like, look, you see all those, like, people wonder, oh, there's so many white women just like can't stop trying to fuck black dudes. Yeah, because their dads were like, don't ever talk to black men. They were like, oh, word? Let me go find out. Yeah, of course. Get out of here. What you think college is about? They ain't gonna tell me what to do or who to do. Yeah. And black dudes be like, come on in. How terrible of a father do you have? Damn. Oh, he got a red hat? Oh, shit. What's up? Like,
do you know what a spit roast is?
Right. Like, I mean, let's get real. Right? Like, there's that line from Jungle Fever where Wesley Snipes' wife is like, she finds out that he's fucking around with the white chick on him and on her. And she's like, yeah, they all want that dick because their daddies told them they can't have it. Yeah. They're not wrong. I still hate that movie for the fact that he cheated on his black wife with a white woman. Because that really ruined what I thought was a much more honest conversation to be had. Like, it's just, it's tainted in the cheating. Like, you can just date whoever you want. Who gives a fuck? I think your dad is ultimately correct in that you have to give people, you have to give your kids a way to learn. I mean, that's kind of how my mom was, right? But at the same time, like, look, you ain't them. So, like, you can't do all the shit that they can do, and you have to understand that, right? Like, those are the kind of things, those are the lessons you and I both learned as kids, right? Yeah. You have to do twice as much to get, half as much. And if you don't teach your black children that shit, you have set them up to get, surprise, kicked in the fucking teeth, right? Yeah. Why is this twice as hard for me? Because life. Because black. So, yeah. No, I think your dad's right. I think he's absolutely right. But the father in this, I thought, was such a powerful character. I just thought he was so good.
I really felt for him. I did. Like I get it. Like I understand. And
yeah, man. Like I feel like had I seen this 3 years ago, I would have a very different perspective on Boyega's character and his dad's character. Not that I would agree with one over the other or anything like that, but I just have such deeper feelings for how his dad reacts to shit. And I'm like, yes. Because look, my daughter get a PhD and she's like, I think I'll be a cop. I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be
livid.
I'm gonna be super mad, yo. I'm gonna be super mad. The fuck you mean? You the police chief? Day one? No? Then get the fuck out of here. No, you ain't gonna be no grunt. Parking tickets on day one. If you don't take your ass and put their goddamn lab coat on, knock it off.
But at the same time, right? Like, I understand being in a profession that you never really loved, and now you're just kind of in it because like and I was influenced into picking the degree that I have.
Yeah.
And I don't really care for it.
Right.
So,
yep.
I get doing something that you don't love,
Right.
but you do it because you have to do it.
Right. And that's important. And again, that's another layer of the story. So we start out by seeing a young Leroy Logan coming out of school. He's like in a private school. The kid's got or I don't know if it's a private school, but he's got like a uniform on. And these two cops come up, these constables walk up to him, and they're like, hey, there's been a few burglaries. Somebody who looks a lot like you. Again,
Really?
He's in a school uniform and he's like 12.
Right.
He's like clean cut, like kid, right? And so they grab his bag and he's like, let us see, look through your stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. Like Leroy is like a good kid, right? He's just a good guy. He's not trying to give anybody any grief over his shit. Like it's just not who he is. And as they're looking through his stuff, fucking Shaft walks up, British Shaft. And he was like, yeah, the cops are like, there's been a couple of B&Es, in the area. And his dad delivers one of the greatest lines of all time. I don't care if there's been a murder. Like, he's a boy. And they're like, are you his dad? He's like, yeah, get off my son. Get the fuck out of here. And basically they were like, well, you could just calm down. He was like, did you find anything? No? Then he's free to go. Get the fuck off my kid. Like, yeah. Yeah. British Shaft was not fucking around. Had the leather jacket on and everything. Get out of here. His dad was just, he was like, oh, you better watch your attitude. He's like, get the fuck out of my mouth. Out of my face. So he takes his son. They hop in the car. I laughed my ass off when Leroy is like, oh, can I change the music? And he changes the music to something he wants. And that shit played for like 3 seconds. His dad was like, no. Click.
Right. It was like Tainted Love.
Yeah, by Gloria
like,
Jones.
get the fuck off.
It's like, turn this shit off. He just turned it completely off in silence. Like, no, enough of this. Tainted Love. Click. This isn't even the soft sell version. Knock it off. So so they're driving and he's like, look, like don't let anybody just do you like that. Right? Like that shit is unacceptable. I don't care if you're a kid or not. Just don't fucking do that. Fast forward to, sort of modern times. This is probably, I guess, like the 80s, right? Modern times. And John Boyega is, he's got a wife or a girlfriend. They're playing Scrabble at his parents' house, and somebody spells out. I forget what they spell out. But John Boyega's it quits. And John Boyega's girlfriend puts down sex off of it, and their faces when she laid that shit down, I started cracking up because they were just like they're clearly very conservative, right?
Yeah.
and the sister who looks a lot like it's not I thought it was the woman from the fucking last movie.
Too.
Yeah, she looks very similar. The sister is like, oh, I pass. Like, I don't got nothing to add to that. And the dad's got all he has left is a Y, and he looks over at sex and he was like, I'll pass. Like, nah, I'm good. That shit was funny. I was cracking up. So you come to find out that John Boyega's character, Leroy, is a scientist. He has a PhD, very smart guy, doing good work, but he's not particularly pleased, with doing that job, I guess. Then we cut to a scene of him, kind of running track with a buddy of his. And he's, his buddy is also a constable, and his buddy's like, I don't know, man, like, you should come for a ride along with me. I think you make a good cop. You're like a stand-up dude. You're clean cut. You're a nice guy. Like, I think you'd make a good cop. And he's like, I don't know, man. All right, I'll do the ride along with you, right? And so this is sort of the beginning of piquing his interest into being a police officer. Look, I do want to take a moment to say something. If you are judging people like Letitia Wright and John Boyega on these big payday movies like Black Panther and Star Wars, that's a mistake. Like, these are the type of roles you should judge them on. The two of them can act their fucking asses off. Both of them. Because John Boyega puts in a hell of a performance in this, I thought. I really, really enjoyed his. Better than anything I saw him do in Star Wars. And I know people don't always see these type of movies, but you should. You should, like, those actors that you like in other big stuff, look them up in other stuff, smaller things, to see if they, like, to see what kind of performances they can put in, because a lot of times they'll surprise you. So.
Yeah, the actors are, most actors are, you know, it takes a director to pull performances out of actors.
Right.
And when you have, and that's why people are like, oh, well, this actor, I can't believe this actor is going to be Batman. He sucks. Like, no, the movie sucked. The director sucked. Like the director couldn't pull a performance out of the material that was given to them. Right. Like you're right. People should investigate their favorite actors' filmographies just to see what else they do. It's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
You could see your favorite actor in a new light. Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman's filmography
just
feels
wild.
like it's all over the place, right? Like he's a superhero and he's an arrogant trumpist, whatever the term is, and
trumpet player. Don't say trumpist.
Oh yeah, trumpet player.
Yeah.
And a baseball player and James Brown and
Thurgood
whatever
Marshall.
he was in Thurgood Marshall and whatever he was in Message from the King, right? It's
right.
it's
you don't have to check that one out. You can skip it.
Yeah, man, it's more than just the one movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's why people are like, oh, I can't imagine Chris Evans as Captain America because I've only seen him in Fantastic Four.
Like, yeah,
well,
you should see other movies.
Turns out.
Yeah,
right?
It turns out. Right. Like, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, the perfect example of that is like Christian Bale, right? Or no, actually even better than that is Michael Keaton. That dude did Mr. Mom before he was Batman. People were like, Mr. Mom? He can't be. Like, no, dude, he's a really good actor.
He was Mr. Mom. He was Batman. He was Beetlejuice, yo.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to tell me that anybody, I can't see anybody pulling off Beetlejuice the way Michael Keaton pulled off Beetlejuice. It would be too slapsticky, and it would be like Jim Carrey doing Beetlejuice if any other actor were to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, people forget, man, like, Clean and Sober, like, that's a hell of a performance. My personal favorite is Gung Ho. That's a movie that, like, if you've never seen that movie with Michael Keaton, you're missing out. That's a great fucking film. It really is. But yeah, it's like all of that was before fucking Batman. So it's just, it's kind of wild to watch actors like that. And John Boyega is no exception. Look, if he don't ever get another big fucking superhero, Star Wars-y type of movie, he'll be fine. He'll be fine because this dude can act. He can act. Like he's quite good, actually. So Boyega's character Leroy is, again, he's intrigued about the idea of being a cop. Him and his girlfriend, they move into their own place, or him and his wife, they move into their own place and they're really happy about it. And he tells his wife that, his buddy who he runs with thinks he would make a good cop. And she's like, yeah, okay, I support you. If that's what you want to do, I do think you would make a good cop. It ain't going to be easy, but I'm with you. Which that's a good spouse, right? I'm not going to say a good woman because anyone should support their spouse. It's a good partner. Though later I have a bit of an issue with her because it's like, it's support to a fault, right? Like there's part of it I'm like, are you actually even listening to him? No, it doesn't appear that you are, but it's fine. I guess it all worked out.
It did.
Yeah, it did. It did. So then we cut to a scene of Leroy's dad. His name is Ken, by the way. He's buying something, or he's like buying food at like a lunch cart or whatever, and he had parked his truck or a lorry. And he heads over, like he parks it, and then he heads back over to it, and he sees two cops checking it out. He walks over to the truck, and he's like he's already he's done. He's already over it. And they're like, "Oh, is that your truck?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course it is mine." Like he already came like straight out the gate. He was fucking done with these assholes. And they're like, "Well, you're blocking traffic." He's like, "No, I'm not. Can't you see cars driving through? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" And they're like, "Oh no, you're against regulation." He's like, "Oh, do you know what the regulation is? 'Cause I do." He pulls out a tape measure because he was getting ready to fucking like run the tape measure over to show that where he was, and how he was like within the rules. And as he's doing that, another cop comes up and hits him in the back, and they just start beating the shit out of him. Because they didn't like him mouthing off, basically. And again, he didn't hit the cop. They just straight pushed him, and then the one cop smacked him across the face or punched him. And they just beat the shit out of him.
For no reason.
Right. Which is fucking nuts. And they just kick him while he's down, and they beat him so bad that like he is wearing almost comically ridiculous makeup because his face is swollen.
He looked like Martin after that heavyweight fight with who was it, Tommy Hearns?
yeah, Tommy Hearns.
Yeah, come on, yo.
Yeah, he looked nuts. And it was just like sort of Leroy's first implication of like just how shitty cops can be to him directly, right? Like to someone who he's affected by directly. And his dad looked wild. Like his dad, like both of his eyes are damn near beaten closed. Like it's just nuts. And his mom is at the hospital, and she's just looking distraught. I mean, it's just awful. So then at some point, Leroy he does have this moment where he goes and he's running track by himself, and he fucking flips out and has like screams or whatever, which is to be expected. All right. Like,
yeah,
I get it. I've had those moments. I don't like to run, but I do other things.
I've had those moments running.
Well, that's just weird. It's just generally not about anything, just screaming while running. But he goes to his cousin, or I guess his aunt's house, and his aunt is like, I've been a police liaison for years, and I think this would be a good job for you, being a police officer, and so he talks to her about it, and she's like, yeah. I can't help but think that she looks a lot like Diamond and or Silk. I don't know which one it is.
Yo, shut up.
Oh, she does. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. Why are you booing me? I'm right. She does. I'm sorry. Just as she's made up there, she looks. I think it's Diamond. I think that's the smarter of the two. But yeah, I think that's who she looks like.
But yeah, who is traditionally on the left.
Yes, and the other one is just like she's like the Flavor Flav hype man. Girl, word. Like, all right, Trump. Like, all right, relax. I don't like either one of those two. Fucking morons. So Leroy goes and he decides, you know what, I'm going to apply to be a police officer. I don't know how you, like, I understand holding two opposing thoughts in your head at the same time, right? Like, that happens. We're all hypocrites in our own way. I don't understand becoming a cop after knowing that the cops unlawfully beat the brakes off of your own father, who you respect immensely. Like, I don't understand it.
I 100% understand it, because you feel like, again, you got to have a certain level of ego, a certain level of hero complex to be like, you know what? Because he does this with the expressed intent of changing it from the inside out.
He has a line that is super wild. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to change the system inside out. I'm like, well, there's the problem.
It is literally the plot from The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Yeah.
Like that character gets, he enlists in the CIA to learn their tactics, and not to change the CIA. He wants to learn their tactics to pass on to black people. This character, Leroy Logan, wants to change their tactics. He's so good, and he has such a righteousness in him, which very few people have. Yo, like, I mean, come on, man. Like,
as much as I'd love to pretend that I do not.
Right, it's amazing that this is based off of a real human being.
Yeah. No, because there's many times in this movie I would have just told every white person in that scene to go fuck themselves.
I just been like, I don't want to be no cop. That's when you turn into the Punisher. You know? Like,
oh, is this where all the cops stay? Great. Yeah. No, I'm not built for that, as you would say. Like, I'm just not built for that. Like, you're not just gonna write "dirty nigger" on my locker. No,
so nobody told John Boyega. Well, they didn't see. John Boyega did not see the racist graffiti in the changing room until the cameras started rolling.
Oh, nigga, come on, yo! Surprise! Steve McQueen's like, what are you gonna do? Wow. So
the anger, was there, and you can kind of tell.
He wasn't acting
because he was, he was like, somebody want to write this shit again. You do it to my fucking face. Like, oh, like, goddamn.
Steve McQueen's like, ooh, my bad. Sorry.
Did we get it? All right.
Oh, cut. Yes. Print. Yeah. No, yo. Nah, you're not. Nah, fuck. I'd have swung on one of them. Like, that one dude, I was like, please punch this dude. Like, that dude's got to get beaten up, like, a lot. So, yeah, he goes before, to kind of fast forward a little bit, he goes before the board, and they're just like, yo, why do you want to be a cop? And he's like, look, I think we need to, look people, eye to eye and, man to man, and, like, try to get these, these people in these communities, specifically my community, to understand, cops are there to be trusted and build some good trust and everything else. And so they're like, oh, okay, great. And when his family or when his dad finds out that he's basically getting blown off by the cops, he's not too pleased. And Boyega's like, well, I don't know, maybe you were obstructing the highway and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, his dad's like, the fuck are you talking about? You on my side or their side? You're like, get the fuck out of here. And he basically is like, look, I want my day in court. That's what I want.
But that's what happens, right? Like, that's what happens to a lot of people when they become cops, right? Like, they become holier than thou, right? Like, well, maybe you kind of did this, and maybe you like it's
cops are never wrong. Cops are never wrong.
Weird,
everyone else is wrong.
Right. It's a weird like mentality that people kind of instantly get. And
I mean, look, I will happily admit that in my job, like when I have to deal with, because I work in computers, right? Like when I have to deal with sort of my customers or whatever, or users, however you want to call it, like I definitely, as I get older, I'm like, nah, I don't believe them. We right. Like you just do. Like you get pulled into that shit as you're sort of like weirdly a part of the camaraderie of other IT people, right? And you're like, we're always right and they're always wrong, right? Like you just do. So
right. I mean, because you got the book. You got the book with the computer stuff in it. Like,
right. Like how to do computers, the book.
Right. And they
right. And they don't.
They have the book of laws, right? All of the laws are in this book that I'm not going to read because I have a high school education. I
don't need to read.
I got the book of laws.
I don't need to read the book of laws. I got this. This is the book of laws right here. I got 9 laws right here before I got to reload and put more laws in your ass. Yeah, that's how it works. I am the law, right? Like that's how it works. Out of here. I don't need to read the Bible. I'm a pastor. You got it. Fine,
right.
Fuck it.
Right.
You already made it.
I talk to God.
Wow, really? Like, sure. Right. Sure. Do you believe it? Then it's real. That's fine. Right. So then we get a scene, which I thought was really great, of Leroy and his cousin Lee, who is definitely gay, who is a singer. Them just dancing in their apartment. That shit had me rolling. Like John Boyega's like, I'm getting better. He's like, I'm trying to do the moves and shit. Like that shit was funny. But yeah, it's just like, again, it's another moment.
You're not gonna pass over that line. He was like, he told his cousin, right? He's like, I want to join the force, and this nigga's like a Jedi?
Yeah, that's right. No, the police force. Like what? Like a Jedi. It is.
Sorry, Malcolm. This is as close as John Boyega is going to get to being a Jedi.
It's
a police force.
Oh damn. But yeah, he's really good in this. I thought he was great. And so yeah, they're just having a good time. Again, it's just watching like black people having fun. It's just nice to watch. It's just really nice to watch. And so yeah, he tells him that he's gonna join the police force. Like a Jedi or something. That shit's fucking hilarious. Cut to these two white constables coming to John Boyega's parents' house, and they're like, they knock on the door, and his dad's like, "Fuck you, what?" Basically, and they're like, "Oh, we're here to see Mr. Was it Leroy? Is it James? What is
Logan?
Logan, excuse me." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Mr. Logan." He's like, "Oh no, we mean the younger Leroy Logan." He's like, "Yeah, we were just verifying his address because he's joined the police force." And he's like, "You lied!" He slammed the door in their face. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And then he goes to Jesse's house. That's the aunt who told him about the one who looks like Diamond, about being a cop liaison, and he yells at her about like, you're putting this poison bullshit in my son's head about being a cop. And she lays into him. She was like, 1, don't mention my son being gay, nigga. Get the fuck out of here. 2, you ain't shit. And you treat your wife like shit. Like, get out of here. He ain't had too much to say about that. He quieted his ass down real quick. He's like, men have a PhD. And it's like, I mean, he making a lot of good points. Like, the fuck you being a cop with a PhD, my nigga? Like,
I mean, not a beat cop, yo. Like,
nah, I need to be a detective. I need to be solving major crimes like McNulty. Like, nah, I ain't gonna be no beat cop.
Yo,
man.
I mean, that should fast track you, yo. Like,
yeah,
come on, man.
If you join the military and you have a PhD, yeah, you go to fucking officer school. What the fuck? I'm not sending you to get shot in the head. Like, nah, yo. You point people in the direction to get shot in the head. That's your job now.
Exactly. You ain't hanging out with Mahoney and Hightower.
Right. Oh, where's Hooks? I want to be going on patrol with her. No. Shout out to her. She just passed. Sad. Yeah, so Leroy comes to his dad's house, and his father is super pissed. Like, yo, what are you doing? I sent you to learn so you could fight the good fight against these type of people, not join them, is one of his lines. And look, he's got some good points, right? But Leroy hits back at him pretty well. He's like, look, what did you expect? Isn't that what you taught us? Like, isn't that what you drilled into us? Study every hour. Never mind, anybody else, at the expense of our lives. You wanted us to be more British than the British. Basically like, look, you wanted us to be in this society. This is what happens. Right. And I think that's probably a standard situation that happens to, first generation kids, right? Like immigrants move here because, they think it's a better opportunity, or move to England because they think it's a better opportunity. But they still want their kids to keep their, native born, or where they were natively born, culture. But that's like, it's impossible. They're not Jamaican. They're British, or they're Jamaican, British, or whatever the fuck the term is. Right. So like, they're a mix where you're not a mix. So yeah, I mean, this is a classic issue that happens.
Yeah.
So he's like, look, I'm going to be a cop. Get the fuck over it. Find out his wife is pregnant.
Yeah, so let me leave my high-paying science job that I don't like to be a beat cop. Like, man, you got a calling, man, because
I mean, look, I get that.
Do it.
I get that
I
part.
Get it. I get it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Look, I understand. I do. I just
because I think there's
can't.
like for me, and I've thought a lot about this. Like, it is more important for me to show my daughter that doing what you love is more important than doing what you don't love to just have money, right? I think
Sure.
that I think it's important. At the same time, like, bills got to get fucking paid,
Right.
so
At the same time,
it's a balance.
Having money will help our children in that goal, right? So it's a balance. I get it. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm
Right.
saying I ain't built for it.
Yeah, I am.
I'm very risk averse.
Yeah, you are. You're a very risk averse guy.
I'm very risk averse, man. Like
What's the word? What's the opposite of risk averse? Like risk starved. Like, you gotta run into a building. Like, I'm not the exact opposite of risk averse. But I'm willing to take risks, like, within reason. Right? I'll take this risk. Yeah, parachute, right? Like, I'll jump out of a plane with a parachute. I'm not gonna just jump out of a plane just with, like, hope in one hand and a wish in the other. Like, I'm not gonna do that.
Whereas I'm not gonna jump out of a plane, but I will do one of those indoor skydiving things and look really awkward doing it.
Yes, I believe that. I've seen you do that, and that is correct. Don't worry. I look even worse, so it's fine. Like an idiot. And I've done it more than once, like an idiot. But it is fun. So then they have a dinner where everybody is there. You can tell the cousin's gay because he's wearing an ascot, I guess. And look, everybody's trying to be reasonable. Everybody's trying to be fucking reasonable. And then it's the dinner before Lee goes to training. Aunt
Diamond is being a real dickhead in
during the prayer.
She's like, God, I'm paraphrasing. She's like, God, thank you for this meal, and thank you for Leroy and all of his endeavors, even if we don't understand them because we're fucking ignorant old men with glasses and a mustache sitting directly across from me at the other end of the table named Kenneth Logan. Like, all right. God
yeah, she couldn't have been any more explicit. That shit was hilarious. She was like, it was something like, even though we're drowning in our own ignorance. I was like, God damn. Yo, I'm right. I can hear you. Jesus Christ. Lady, take it easy. Yeah, but that shit was funny to me. And so as they're leaving dinner, Ken, Lee's dad, Leroy's dad is like, look, I'm going to drive you to this training facility. Like, let me do it. And he's like, no, my wife's going to do it. He's like, no, like, let somebody else drive her home. You be good. I'm going to drive you. And they're like,
this
okay.
is something my dad would do too.
Yeah. I get it. And they haven't really spoken, right? Since he found out. And the wild shit is like, they don't talk the whole fucking drive.
Right.
At all.
That my father would do too.
Right. Like, just let you know.
In silence, by the way. No radio.
Ain't nothing.
Nothing.
They got the Pointer Sisters on and not a goddamn thing.
It's just really awkward.
It's like, I can't wait to pull up to the door for this one. Let's get it going. And they pull up to the place. Boyega literally like puts his hand on his dad's knee and he's like, all right. And gets out, totally silent. And it isn't until he like this is men dealing with other men in their lives to a fucking T, right? We are incapable of being normal. We have been so taught to be emotionally fucking retarded. And I'm using that word for a very specific reason. We are emotionally retarded when it comes to dealing with other men, and actually even dealing with women, but especially dealing with other men. And it isn't to Leroy gets all of his bags out of the car, walks around the car, and is almost to the building that his dad gets out and goes, "Hey, Leroy, hold on a second. Let me talk to you." And you don't hear what they say, but it is, I hesitate to say it's a beautiful moment, but it is an important moment. And I think it's important that we don't actually hear what they say. That he's like, look, he puts his hand on his son's shoulder and he hugs him. And it's a real hug. Like, it ain't none of that, like, all right, nigga, don't let these white people push you around type of shit. Like, it's a real hug because he's scared for his son, right? Like, he is scared for his son for every logical reason I can think of.
Yeah.
This would be like me dropping my daughter off at the Republican National Convention. Okay. It would be equally as terrifying for me. I'd be like, why are you wearing that hat?
I would imagine that you would put in a bomb threat to that place before it would happen, before you would drop your daughter off there.
No, that's not true. That's not true. No, I would blow it up first. Is everyone there? Cool. Great. Relax, YouTube. Relax. I know there's a lot of crazies out there. Relax. It's a joke. It's a joke. No, it would be like, that's my biggest fear. That is that's my biggest fear, is that my daughter grows to be a Republican. That's my biggest fucking fear. I don't know, maybe the party switched by then, which is fine, but my biggest fear is that my daughter becomes a hardcore conservative. That is awful to me. That is awful to me. Like, oh, wouldn't you be scared if your daughter was a stripper? I wouldn't be a fan of it. I'd be more of a fan of it if she was a stripper than a Republican. I can tell you that.
What about a Republican stripper?
Ugh. Still a Republican? I think the two things I would be the most disappointed in my daughter becoming is a porn star and a Republican. That's it. That's it.
In that order?
No. No. Like, if you're going to be a porn star, don't be like one of the ones that I'm like, wow, you clearly been abused. You're cool with way too many things. Like, nah, yo, you got to get like mental help. Like, there's some you watch porn, you're like, calm down. Calm down. And then there's the other ones that are just like healthy sexual beings, right? And I'm cool with that. That's fine. But that's still number 2 to being a conservative. Just how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. In that order? No, absolutely not. And I can say that with 100% honesty. I would absolutely hate it more if my daughter was like, yeah, Donald Trump was a good president, over being like, well, I sucked a dick on camera. I'd be like, well, whatever. Did you make money? Well, that's fine. Are you still believe poor people need help? Cool. At least you're still not a piece of shit. That's it. It's fine. I raised you better than that. Yeah, that's how I feel. So we start training, and like, you get the scene where like this one, they're like going around the class and, you know, telling, why did you want to be a cop? And the white guy speaking before him, I was like, yo, what language are you speaking? Like, you know, it sounded like madness to me. I was like, oh, is this guy like super Irish? Like, wow. It was crazy. Like, the Irish accent, I can pick up just fine. Like, this guy, I was like, all right, this might as well be fucking German. John Boyega stands up and he was like, hi, everyone. Yeah, I wrote a lot of stuff on my paper, but none of that matters. Look, I ain't here to be friends with nobody. I'm here to change the police department from the inside out. That's it. Deal with it.
This is not the approach that you should take.
Yeah, I'd argue it is not. No, fuck everybody in this room. I just want to let y'all know that up front.
I'm here because me, as a new recruit who doesn't know anything about what you do, think that I can change what you do for the better.
Yeah. And fuck all the rest of y'all.
All of you are terrible at your jobs. I'm here to tell you how to do them. And I don't give a damn about any one of you motherfuckers next to me.
Yeah. And So what? Fuck y'all. Then we see like there's a couple of like scenes of like sort of physical fitness and everything else, and John Boyega having more fast twitch muscle fibers, I assume, because black. He wins because he's an incredibly like physical athletic guy. And then we get a scene where they're sort of learning how to like handle a rioter or like a guy who would have a sledgehammer and storming a Capitol building, for instance.
Yeah, like what would happen if Triple H went off the deep end and just started swinging his sledgehammer at everybody?
Yeah, exactly. And Boyega leads the team with how to stop him. They like get in formation and under his tutelage, basically, and they take down this berserker, as they call him. So yeah, so he gets like excellent markings for that. And he ends up being like top of the class, right? At this point, he's a constable. He's clean shaven. He's out there, and he meets with like a top board of other police officers, and they're like, "Look, you're gonna go back and police your own area that you grew up in, the N division. I assume that stands for Nignog division."
I mean, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Nobody said Nignog in this one, which is upsetting.
No. They did like throw in a couple of wogs, which is short for gollywogs.
Yeah, I was like, that feels unacceptable to me. I'd have beat that dude right. I'd have grabbed his head, smashed it right into that fucking table over lunch. Fuck out of here. Again, I couldn't have worked there. Hey, what about all those gollywogs? I'd be like, nigga, come on, yo. God damn.
See, but I'd have just turned it around, and me and that Indian dude would have been talking, and I'd have been like, so yeah, these fucking honky ass crackhead cracker motherfuckers that I got to deal with, like I would just throw it right back at them. I don't give a fuck.
My father-in-law called somebody a honky the other day over dinner. We were talking.
Honky is a tremendous word. Like,
Yeah,
it really needs to come back as a slur for white people.
I was talking about something at work of like how this white dude didn't know who this other person was and they've been working next to for like 5 years. And he goes, I bet if they were a honky, I bet they would have known who they were. I was like, I laughed my ass off, dude. That shit was funny. Look, it's a great slur.
Man.
It's a great slur.
It's a funny word. George Jefferson said it. If George Jefferson said it 40 years ago, we could say it now.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine. I think we should. I think we should keep Karens because that really makes white women mad, and I like that
for some reason. All right,
I'm not a Karen. What's your real name? Deborah. 6
Karen
on one
with a
half.
C.
So, half a dozen really. Knock it off. Yeah, Karen with a C. It's Kalela, and yeah, and then we should just start calling white dudes honky. Like that's fine.
Honky is so funny to me. Yo.
Like it's equally as ridiculous as like jigaboo. It's just funny. It's a funny word. It's a funny word. Don't get mad, white people. But we're gonna start calling you honkies. We're taking it back.
We're having fun with you.
Yeah, just relax. Relax, O-phase. It's fine.
Relax.
O-phase. That would never hit. For me. Honky is definitely funny. And I think it's because of George Jefferson. I think it's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, come on.
See this little man just honky. Like, all right.
Shit's funny. In the words of Louis C.K. before he got busted for being a piece of shit, he was like, there's no slurs for white people that hurt my feelings. Like, hey, call me a cracker? Didn't even ruin my day. Like, it's fine. Honky? Whatever, it's hilarious. It's fine. Yeah, we should be able to say it. I'm going to start a campaign. # should we be able to say honky?
Yeah.
Bring honky back.
And it's short for honky tonk. Like, and isn't that like a style of music? Like,
right.
Like, who cares?
Right. And like a really weird wrestler from the 80s.
Yeah. The longest reigning Intercontinental Champion.
The honky tonk man.
Useless information. The honky tonk man.
That is completely useless information. Oh my God. Just imagining it like what scenario where they're like, you go on Jeopardy and like the final question, who was the longest reigning champion, intercontinental champion for WWF? Honky Tonk Man? That is correct. You win $1,000. Wow. I'm glad I was paying attention that day.
Oh, shit.
So they decide that they want to use Leroy as the poster child to hire more Negro police officers. So he was going to be the guy that they were going to use in the campaigns and shit. I get it. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm not your poster boy.
I don't like it. But at the same time, like, well, no, not even at the same time. You can hire an actor to do that shit.
Yeah, it's hire a black dude. Don't hire me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I agree.
Yeah, I'm a serious fucking cop. Don't use me as a nigger recruiter. Like, I don't like that. Because that's what it is, right? Yeah. And it's not because they actually give a fuck about black people. They're just hoping that they can just let black people handle the black sections so they can just go off and do their regular shit. That's all it is. Right? So they don't have to hear any shit from like politicians. So then we see a scene which is important. PC Kamali, who is an Indian gentleman, or maybe he's Pakistani, I don't know. But actually, he probably is Pakistani. And they got these constables that are outside of a Pakistani restaurant that has been graffitied, and it says Pakis out, right? And he's talking to the owner in Urdu, which is their native language. And a white cop comes up and hears him speaking in Urdu, and he pulls him aside. And he says, like, look, you're, don't speak Indian to them. He's like, it's not Indian, it's Urdu. Indian's not a language. And so then he's like, anyway, you're presenting yourself as a police officer. So don't speak anything but English to them. So then, like, thus creating a situation where he can't even connect with people who he is similar with, right? So, like, proving that these white cops don't actually understand the benefit of having cops who are of color.
Right.
Right?
Like
you don't
the
need
whole
to,
point of, all right.
Yeah, like if I have people who work for me who speak the fucking language of some other people who are our constituents, yeah, speak the language. They'll connect with you more.
Right.
Like, dude.
That's why people look for people who can speak like Spanish and shit. Right.
Yes. Right. Or like here's sort of a weird version of that. Like, I've got a picture of my wife on my desk. When people come into my office, like a lot of people who work in my building are Indian. When they come in, or South Asian, when they come into my office to talk to me, when they see the picture of my wife, immediately, the way they talk to me changes. Like, you can see it. Like, they're like, oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, wait. Oh, this guy fucking gets it. And like, I don't speak Hindi, like, like none of that. But just because I am adjacent to that culture, like, it changes in how people talk to you and the level of closeness they feel to you, like, immediately. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, it's part of the reason why I keep the picture there, right? In like a very prominent area, because I know that people will see it. And then like people are like, oh, and they'll call me more. Like I'm the Indian dude who works in IT. I'm like, I'm not, but they're like, oh, close enough. This guy knows someone, right? So it's the same idea. Like, but these white cops are just like, nah, fuck your culture.
Right.
Because of course.
People, for some strange reason, people, think that I'm Habesha, right? Like, that I'm Ethiopian.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
or
I see it. Big ass head.
I mean, look, I get it. I don't have that good hair like they got, but long face, thin nose, thin lips. Like, I get it. Like none of the cool shit that makes black people cool, but like still with the brown skin. Like, I get it. But when they do, like, I remember I was in a restaurant. This one guy was like, "Hey, you Habesha?" I was like, "No. I mean, do I get a free dessert?" 'Cause, yeah, but
you got to learn like 4 words. Yes. Bathroom, no. Free dessert. Question mark. Yeah. No, but people, they just connect with you like that. Like it is. Dude, I was in. Where the fuck was I? I was in. What the fuck is the name of that? God damn, I can't remember the name of that country. Cyprus.
Chile.
No, I was in. I don't look like nobody in fucking in Chile. Get the fuck out of here. Like, nigga, you are not from here.
You don't look like nobody in Cyprus either.
No, I do not. 100% I do not. But I was in Cyprus and I was at a party and this black woman comes up to me. She was super fine. Good Lord. Like, it was ridiculous. And she was like, hey, she was Brazilian. And she was like, hey, are you Brazilian? I was like, no. What? Why would you assume that, right? There's no black people there, right? And she was like, hey, are you Brazilian? I was like, no, I'm not. I was like, I'm from the States. And she was like, oh, that's awesome. She was like, oh, I'm from Brazil. I'm from Rio. And I was like, well, the stories are true. All of you are this attractive. And she was just like immediately like zoned in and connected with me because I was another black person. Like, you know, there was like zero black people around, but she was just like, hey, and like we were like just talking and like hanging out or whatever. Like, yeah, and she was just like, oh, it's so cool to like see other black people and like asking me about the States and shit like that. But when people see you and they have some level of connection, especially people of color in a sea of white people, yes, it helps you. It does, right? Like it's just the way it goes. So yeah, them telling that Pakistani dude to like basically fuck off with his culture was a real mistake. And so then we have a scene of him and Leroy, his name is Assad, him and Leroy having a conversation. And basically Assad is like, I don't know what I'm even doing here. And he's like, look, man, you have a degree. I don't know what the fuck you're doing here. You used to be a research scientist. Get out of here. Like, this shit sucks. So, yeah, I mean, he's right. So, so then we get a scene of, Lee comes in, he's got a son now, or Leroy comes in, he's got a son now, but he's still not speaking to his dad as he's become a cop. I mean, his son is, I don't know, probably
a year old.
Yeah.
Over a year.
Yeah. And so he still really isn't speaking to his father. And he says, cause he says it's been a year since they started a court date. So his dad is told that he's got a court date. Like, yeah, it's about time to get my day in court. Like, this shit's going to be awesome. And his mom is like, yes, all he talks about all day and all night about this goddamn court case. So we see, Boyega is taking another test for promotion. And that becomes relevant later. Then we get like a scene, like Leroy sees some kids fucking around with a car and he tries to connect with them. It turns out that he knows the woman who runs this rec center that I guess that he used to go to when he was a kid. And again, it proves like his power in being from that community and being a black man from that community. But when he tries to talk to any of the kids, they don't fuck with him because he's a cop. They're just not fucking interested at all. Nothing he has to say permeates with them. Yeah. Then we get a scene of him and his family. They go to court for his dad's court date. And just as he's about to go into court, the lawyer comes out and is like, yeah, look, they basically recognized that they were not going to move forward with the charges against you. You're good. They're going to end up settling out of court for some money. Don't even worry about it. Mostly it's because they know they're wrong and because of who your son is. Right?
Yeah.
How did you feel about that scene?
Yeah, I felt bad for the dad. But at the same time, because you feel cheated, you know, like, yeah, it's over, but there was no justice.
Right.
Like, those people don't, and that's the thing that sticks with me, is that, you know, the payout is fine, right? It's deserved, but at the same time, like, I wasn't asking for all that. I was asking for people who did something wrong to be punished for it.
Right.
And that's, the thing that resonates with us now, right? Like, what's wrong with people just wanting those who do something wrong to be held accountable? That's the whole thing with what's going on in this country right now.
Yep.
Is that half of the country is pissed at the other half for that half not being held accountable for their actions,
Right.
and their representatives not being held accountable for their actions, and their fringe group not being held accountable for their actions.
Not enough for me. Not enough for my taste. Absolutely not.
Like, I don't want I don't want I don't want you to buy my silence, man. I have a job. I make money.
Right.
Where's the responsibility, man? Like, that's what's fucked up.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy. Then we see a scene of these white cops at lunch, just talking about like fucking wogs and like the one guy's doing a fucking Indian accent. Like, they're just being really racist pieces of shit. And meanwhile, Assad and Leroy are just sitting there, just kind of fucking taking it. Then Leroy goes back into his locker room, goes to his locker, and he sees on his locker that it says "dirty nigger" scrolled across it. No, I wouldn't have let anybody leave. I'd be like, we got to fight. Like, everybody in here. And he has a flip out, decidedly so, which is like, if any of you, pussies, want to say this shit, say it to my face. Write it while I'm fucking right here.
Yeah.
Look, racists are cowards, man. Very few of them are real, like, tough guys. Most of them are fucking cowards. That's why they do the shit in secret and anonymous and all that other shit.
They do it under the cover at night. You know what I mean? They do it so that nobody, like, they don't have the balls, yo. Yeah. That's why they all over the internet. They're all over the internet.
Yeah, because you don't got to show your face.
People get real bold, man.
I'll call you a nigger. All right, cool. Send me your address. Busy this weekend.
Right. Like, all right, yo. All right. And, but, look, if you're going to do a nude scene, have the body to have a nude scene.
Oh, come on. Don't
like
do that. Don't do that to that man.
I'm just saying, yo. I'm just saying. Like,
Officer Flab. Oh.
Like, get out of here with that shit, man.
I'd be like, look, I got to work out. I'm not just, look, Steve McQueen, you ain't just going to hire me to be an embarrassment. Like, nah, fuck that. Try to put in a couple CrossFit classes or something. So then you see a scene of Leroy trying to talk to a young kid named Abraham, see if he can, get him on his side. And he talks to him for a little bit, but all his friends bail, and then Abraham eventually is like, nah, fuck that. I don't fuck with cops. And it just goes to show you, like, this idea of, like, trying to get to the youth, but as a cop is really fucking hard. It's really difficult. We see a scene where two officers, PC Beck and another guy, are using excessive force on a black man, and Leroy tries to call it out, and Beck is like, "Look, if you want somebody to have your fucking back, you'll shut the fuck up about shit like this. Like it's either us or them." And this is the machine, right? Beck is a perfect example of the machine. So either you back your fellow cops, no matter what they do to your own people. Especially to your own people, or, you fight back and you put yourself in harm's way, which is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
So you can understand why people get eaten up by the machine. And I can certainly understand why you'd want to be a part of the police force to try to change it. But sometimes you're just, it's like, you're swimming upstream, right? Like, it's like, you're always pushing against this fucking tidal wave that's going.
Yeah.
So, Um,
And then like, and then he goes to check on him, the suspect, and it was black, and he sees him, and he's just like, "Get the fuck out of my face, you sellout ass piece of shit!"
Yeah.
Like, you fucking traitor. And it's just like, yo, what am I doing?
yeah, you're getting it both ways. Black people don't fuck with you because you're a cop, and white cops don't fuck with you. Like, god damn.
Called him a fucking coconut Oreo biscuit.
I mean, he was, yeah, fucking traitor. Yeah, like, and the guy, and Boyega's just like, "Oh, you all right there, man?" He's like, "Nah, fuck that."
And at the same time, like, yeah, yo, like, get the fuck out of my face, yo. Like,
Yeah,
like, what the fuck? Don't ask me, am I all right? Fuck out of my face with that bullshit, man.
yeah, I absolutely get it. Then Boyega goes to check on that kid, trying to see if he's, can reach him. And the woman who he knows is like, nah, he got stabbed over east. And, but he's okay. And he's like, all right, I'm just trying to check on him, right? He's just trying to do the right thing, trying to be a superhero cop. He does get he responds to a call, of like a burglary or something like that. And he chases a guy through a warehouse. And he's constantly calling for backup, and nobody comes. Nobody comes for like 30 minutes. Meanwhile, the guy gets the drop on him and beats him with like a metal pole or something. And then eventually, Boyega like gets the upper hand and like does a fucking honky tonk man style dive tackle. And he eventually gets the guy, kicks his ass, and gets the guy. When he comes outside, like Assad is there, and he's like, "Yeah, man, they didn't back you up. We had to drive for 33 minutes or something to get to you. Like you were all over the radio."
There were calls around the corner, yo. He said there were calls around the corner.
Yep. Yeah, so he was the only one who had his back. And so Boyega, rightfully so, is like pissed, and he goes into like some sort of like, rec room where all the cops are, and he fucking calls them out. Like, fuck you guys, like, for not having my back. And they all, they think it's all funny.
All silent. Every single one of them is silent.
Yeah.
Like, not one of them has the courage to even, like, buck at him.
No.
Like, all right, Joe.
Because they're cowards, man.
Yeah.
They're cowards. Like, that's why, look, I get in trouble a lot on Facebook and shit like that. That's why I have no problem calling somebody a straight up bigot. I don't. I'm not afraid of you for. You're a coward.
Right.
You're a coward, yo. These are the same people. Oh, I'm scared to go into the city. Oh, I'm a tough guy. Yeah.
Right.
I need to carry an AK-47 and get a fucking Frappuccino from Starbucks. Yeah, you're a real tough guy. Get the fuck out of here. No. You're a tough guy with a gun. That doesn't make you a tough guy. It just makes you a coward with one. So, yeah. Then Boyega bursts into his sergeant's office, and he's like, look, I passed that test. This is bullshit. And you know it's bullshit. And he's like, no, you didn't pass the test. And saying it's anything else is ridiculous. Look, I believe John Boyega passed the test. He'd only get in there with a PhD. The rest of these fucking morons. That white guy passed the test? Beck?
Right.
Get out
Come
of here.
on, yo.
I'm not
That
buying it.
motherfucker's not even smart enough to realize that mustache makes him look like a rapist. Get out of here, yo.
He don't even know. So yeah, he's just like, no, fuck that. And he's like, all right, fine. Like, whatever. You're not going to admit it. Fuck it. Immediately after that, while Leroy is changing, Assad comes in, changes his clothes, grabs his bag, and he was like, yeah, good luck with all that. And he was
I'm
like,
done with this shit.
I quit. I get it. He'd have been me. But I'd have tried to punch that one redhead cop right in the mouth before it was all over. Fuck him.
Yeah, yo.
You got to do it before you stop being a cop, though, because they just arrest your ass after that.
Yeah.
That ain't a good look. Like 2 weeks before you quit, punch that nigga and just be like, we good? We good? Good. Now I quit. I've been disciplined already? Cool. And so now Boyega's character, Leroy, is all alone, right? He doesn't even have his boy to bounce off of. It's just him and a bunch of white cops. Then he goes home to his wife, And he's like, look, this is hard. Assad is gone. I don't know if I can make it. And she's just like, this is you talking about quit? You don't quit. And I just felt like, I feel like you're supporting him to a fault. Like some things can be bigger than one man. They just can be.
Sure. But at the same time, this shows that she's just not blindly supporting whatever he wants to do.
Well, that's true. That's a very
you got to push back, especially if you really believe in something, or in someone, right?
Right.
Like if you really believe in this person, like that, all this scene did was just to reinforce the fact that she actually loves, cares, respects the fact that this is this guy's calling, as he said, and that she knows that he can do it.
Right.
Like, I think that if she like feared for him or something like that, she wouldn't have said it in the first place.
Right.
Like,
well, that's my thing, is like, because now he's dealing with criminals who, are willing to hurt him or kill him. And he's dealing with police officers who are willing to let him die.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I just imagine if that was my spouse and it's like, hey, so this is going on, I'd be like, if you want to leave, I get it. Like I do get your point. I definitely get your point. He goes to see his dad, and this is, I mean, it's just a powerful end scene. Where he basically says, look, when I was growing up, your grandmother basically told me, if I walk by a graveyard and I see you digging graves and you don't have an education, I'm going to be sad, but I'm going to understand, right? If I walk by a graveyard and you're digging graves and you have an education, then I cannot be mad at you because I know that you made that choice. Which is a really interesting perspective for him to have by the end of this.
Yeah, he obviously loves his son. And as a parent, you want to believe in your kid, and you want to foster, like, if you truly believe that this is what you want, and like, okay, right? Like at some point as a parent, you have to let go a bit. And
I'm not ready to do that.
No.
Never.
And it's hard, man.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
If it's not hard, what the fuck kind of parent are you? Just get out.
Exactly. Like, you're a shitty parent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a very well written analogy, and I think John Boyega says something to the effect of, like, sometimes I wish we could just scorch this earth and just start again.
Mm-hmm. This is a scene that I thought maybe would connect with you, with your relationship with your dad, just because, like, that point, right? Because here he is saying this lovely line about, I support you and all this other stuff, even after all the shit he's gone through with the cops and everything. And then for Boyega to say, I wish we could scorch this earth and just replant it, right? And hope something new comes out of it, goes to show him, like, yeah, I do still hear your perspective. And I do share a lot of it. Like, even though I'm going through this, which I thought was dope. Like, his dad didn't come from his far edge of his perspective to the middle, or like all the way over to John Boyega's perspective. Like, I respect you as a cop and I think you're going to do a good job. Right. Heidi ho, and that's it. No, he did what humans actually do. And this is good writing, is his dad came 50% of the way and Boyega came 50% of the way. That is what actual compromise looks like.
I don't like it, but I respect you for it. Right. And at the same time, yeah, maybe my views My views have changed.
Yeah. Like, nigga, you were right about a lot of shit. It's basically what he said. Right? Yeah. Like, yeah, you know what? I mean, you just look at him, and this is the last moment of that movie. Look at Boyega's perspective, or Leroy's perspective, at the end, where he's like, I wish we could scorch the earth and start over sometimes, to the beginning, where he's a little kid and he's like, oh, you just want to search me? Because I'm just a black kid. Like, whatever. I didn't do anything wrong, but just go ahead and do a stop and frisk. Right. So it's like go along to get along, to this guy who is a part of that machine or a part of that system, but realizes how fucked it is.
Right.
That's what growing up is. This is a good movie, man. I really dug this one a lot.
Really was. Really was. It's like we said before, it's a perspective that you just don't see.
Yeah.
Told in a very realistic way. Because look, make no mistake, the shit that goes on in this movie during this time period, which is like what, 30 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's going on right now.
That is correct.
It 100% is. And like things like that don't change.
Yeah.
At least they don't change. He also says something like that, basically that affecting change is a slow process.
Mm-hmm.
The dad says that.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is really good, man.
It was great.
This is really good. Leroy Logan went on to become the superintendent of in the London Metropolitan Police Force. Because the film ends right there.
Yep.
And he was a founding member of the Black Police Association. He was the chairman of that association for 30 years. He was awarded the member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire.
Wow.
Yeah, this dude affected change, and he leaves a bit of a legacy. So yeah, man, this is look, I can appreciate this story. I really can. And I'm glad it was told. Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad at all. Steve McQueen, again, one of my absolute favorite black directors and favorite directors, period.
That guy might know what he's doing.
Yeah. Turns out.
Just might.
All right. That's it for us for episode 2 and 3 of Small Axe, Lovers Rock, and Red, White, and Blue. And we will be back with episode 191 next week. All right, guys. We will see you next time.
See you.
Bye. You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the black community.